This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. I'm honored that you are joining the Gemara Shir here and not the choir concert presentation at the shul. So, okay. They didn't realize that there was a Gemara Shir taking place at the same time when they scheduled it. All right. So, Judd, Toby, Paul, Melissa, Irwin, excellent to see all of you. We pick up on Memtes Amud Aleph.
In the South. And it was a
Right.
mixed segregation because there were Jewish people, there were some Polish people that people didn't particularly care for. So we all lived together, and the West Side was a mixture of these nations.
Okay. Well, you can unmute yourselves if you have any questions, but that was the easiest way to do it. I assume that wasn't meant for us. So before we actually delve into the Gemara for tonight, I promised you a follow-up to last week's Gemara, and we're cracking open a sefer we haven't used in a while, the Nitzotze Hashas, which is essentially addresses a lot of the Godic ideas in the Gemara. Get more of a Hasidic bent to it is what I find. So if you remember, we had this weird Agadata last time that there was this guy called Sasson and this guy called Simcha. They were both heretics, and they were both duking it out for which one was considered superior. And it really made no sense because I don't get it. Sasson, Simcha, what's with their names? Why do we care about a conversation between two heretics? So pretty much everyone is flabbergasted and doesn't, everyone's struggling to make some sense of it. I'll give you one approach that's in the sefer here from Moshe. I'm going to botch the name. Brisman, who was the Av based in the Hilas Kodesh Kolna. Okay. Somewhere in Poland, I think. So anyway, basically his vort is that he says that there are two kinds of philosophers. There is the kind of philosopher who said that basically the whole world was supposed to be negating any sort of physical pleasure, and these were the people who would basically use self-flagellation. And then there was the other philosophy on the other end, which Versailles Gaon talks about these people who are avodas hachush, those who basically praised, said that it's a religious experience to engage in bodily pleasure as much as possible. And so his basic construct of the Gemara is that Sasson is a kind of joy that one has klape haguf, that is physical, and Simcha is more of a spiritual joy. And the issue was that Sasson and Simcha were duking it out for what's more important, physical or spiritual fulfillment. And the answer for Judaism is they should not necessarily have to be an absolute contradiction, but there should be a way for the physical and spiritual to work together. And this seems like Hasidic thought 101. So anyway, that was one idea I found. I think, the Kasha many times is better than the Teretz. It's still a bit of a tzarkin as to what to make of that Gemara. But be it as it may, I gave you a shot, as I promised. And now to tonight's Gemara. All right. Here we go. Mem Tes Amud Aleph. Amar Rav Barchana Rav Yochanan. So just a reminder of what this is picking up with. The Mishnah said when the wine libation, the water libation was done, they'd be poured down into these sephalim, or these receptacles that were on the altar, that were on the mizbeach. But they went down to these shisen, right? So they go down somewhere, but it's not exactly clear as to where they go. So we're going to see two opinions tonight. Amar Rav Barchana Rav Yochanan, Shisen Misheshis Yemei Bereshis Nivru. These Shisen, what do you call it? Water canals of sorts, or how they render. I'm curious how they render it into the art scroll. What do they call the Shisen?
Steinzal says drain pipes.
Drain pipes, right? These canals, these drain pipes. So Misheshis Yemei Bereshis Nivru. They were created from the beginning of, creation, the beginning of Bereshis. Shnemar. All right, now this is where we're going to use the art scroll again because we're going to have a really weird pasuk from what do you call it? From Shir Shir. Chamuki yarchayich k'mo chalayim. So when I looked it up, this was the translation I got. That chamuki refers to that which is hidden by your thigh, Kamo chalayim are like links in a chain. Masei de uman are the work of a craftsman. So chamuke yerechayich elu hashisin. So these hidden things refer to the shisin, the pipes which are hidden. Kamo chalayim. So chalayim should be read shemuchulalin v'yordin ad hatahom, that they are hollowed out and they go all the way down to the great deep of the earth. Masei de uman, and what's it mean that it's a craftsman work? Zo Maisei de Umnusu Shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is the Uman Shavu Umanim, the greatest craftsman of them all is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who created them at the beginning of creation. Okay? And likewise, Tandavi Rabbi Shmuel, Bereshis, Al Tikri Bereshis, Ella Bara Shis. So you see a little play on words over there, that at the beginning of time, he created the Shisin. I doubt that they're not telling us that's actually the pshat, but okay, it's a cute little remez. Tanya, Yossi Omer, Shisin Muchulalin V'Yordin At Hatahom. Right, so this price is basically supporting what we said already, that the Shisin lead until the great deep. Shnemar. All right. Ashira na lidi. Right, so you're gonna correct me if I get this wrong over here. Ashira na lididi. So I will sing a song to my beloved one. Shiras dodi lecharmo, the song of my beloved to his vineyard. Kerem lididi. So I had my beloved had this vineyard. Bekern ben Shamain. It seemed to have been like a very fat. I think Shamain is the right nikudas over there. Vayaskehu vaysalkehu. So he dug it and cleared the rocks away. Teu sorek v'yaven migdal besocho yam yakev chetzebo. And so he plants this tree, which how they translate over there. Actually, I think Rashi gives it to us. One moment. Here we go. Natu kafan mishubachas lo zemura el sharosh and atzman. So he plants these grapevines. Sorry, velozimara, not the vines. El sharosh and atzman, the root of them. So that's the rendering that Rashi gives us. So now we break it down. This refers to the Beis Hamikdash. Vayiven Migdal, he builds a tower. Besocho. Zev Mizbeach, this is the tower in middle of the Beis Hamikdash, the altar. Vegam Yakev Chetzebo Elu Hashisin, and this wine press that he makes in the middle, this refers to the Shisin. All right, so Shir Shir, a very convoluted remez to the Beis Hamikdash. There you have it. Though Shir Shir, I guess, is one, depending how you read it, is one elongated, convoluted remez to something or another, depending how you read it. All right. So this all reflects one school of thought, which the Shisin go until the Tahom. It goes down to the deep. Tanya Amar Rav Elazar bar Tzadok, Lul Katan Haya ben Kevesh Lemizbeach. There's actually this little gap right between where the ramp goes up to the altar. Ravo shel Kevesh. It was basically on the western side. Basically, it would be on the left when you come up. Shana, and every 70 years, Pirkei Kahuna Yord l'Sham U'Malak V'Sham. The Pirkei Kahuna, these young Kohanim, the young lads, they would go down there and they would collect the wine. And it was Yain Karish and Domali Guli Devela. The wine had congealed and dried out so much that they were like cakes of figs. It was like all just like the concentrate that was left. Ubayim is Sorfin also Bikadusha, but they would make sure that when they would take it, now, what do you do with it? Like, you don't just throw it out. So they would burn it, Bikadusha. What's Bikadusha mean? Rashi tells us, B'makom kadosh ba'azara. They would make sure to be doing it in the courtyard of the temple, meaning it still had to be done in a sanctified manner. It had to be done within the bounds of the Beis Hamikdash. Shenemar, Bakosh hasich nesech shecher lahashem. So it tells us that libations should be for God. The same way libation has to be done b'kedusha, so too the burning of any remains of the libation when they're collected need to be done b'kedusha as well. My mashma, how do I know this? Rabina Asya Kodesh Kodesh. We have a gezerah shava of Kodesh Kodesh. So the word Kodesh appears in the instance of libation and the instance of burning. So that right, Makodesh. That's number one. Uksiv Hasam, and regarding burning, was the Raftas Anosar Ba'ish Lo Yochal Ki Kodeshu. So it tells us that any nosar, anything remaining, should be burned in the fire. And there it says Ki Kodeshu. So there you go. Gezer Shava Kodesh Kodesh. Now, Kamat Ozla Hadatanya Nesache Betchila Mole Behen. Sorry. Nesache Betchila Mole Behen. So initially, the Nesachim, there would be Me'ilah. They were sanctified. If you take the wine and you drink from it, that would be what do they call it in English? Me'ilah. They call it a sacrilege. I think that's the translation they give for it. So Molen Behen, Yord L'Shisen, once they go down to the pipe works, a Molen Behen, then there is no Me'ilah, meaning they're done. There's no longer the Kedusha, at least to the extent that one would be over a Me'ilah if they drank the wine after it was libated. Now, remember, we had a machlokus. Does the wine go down to to the tahom, whatever that is, like the deep of the earth, or is it just go down to this big vat that gets collected every 70 years? So, Lema Rabbi Elazar Bar Tzadaki. Maybe this teaching about there not being an issue of Me'ilah after the libation is in accordance with Elazar Bar Tzadok, because Elazar Bar Tzadok is one who says you can actually get the wine. It actually goes into a receptacle, to some chamber. The Rabbanan, because if this was in accordance with Rabbanan, well, doesn't it go all the way down to the deep? So how would there ever be the opportunity to commit Me'ilah? You wouldn't be able to access it. And Afilu Tema Rabbanan. No, you can say maybe this can still fit with the Rabbanan. B'di'iklet, I don't know. Imagine you put some sort of receptacle that blocks the wine from going all the way down into the tahom. It can happen in theory if you wanted to set something like that up. So Lav Dafka, this isn't in accordance with the Rabbanan as well. The Igana Amri, there's another version of the conversation in which it was the reverse. They initially suggested Lema Rabbanani. That's in accordance with the Rabbanan. The lower Elazar Bar Tzadok. How so? Di Rabbi Elazar Akati V'Shusayim Kayami. Because if this is in accordance with Rabbi Elazar, that's collected later on, then we know it is still sanctified, because 70 years from now, or less than 70 years, depending when it was done, they're going to collect it. So how can you tell me there's no longer Me'ilah? It should still retain its sanctity, because it's not gone. It hasn't gone into the abyss of the Tahom. No. I feel the team of Rabbi Elazar, it can even fit with Rabbi Elazar, because something, once the mitzvah is done, then there's no issue of Me'ilah. So that's a general principle. So it can still fit with Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar would say that the wine indeed goes into the chamber, into that receptacle, whatever you might want to call it, and there still would not be an issue of Me'ilah, even though it's accessible, because once the mitzvah is done, there's no longer an issue of Me'ilah. And this is something we see with karbanos, by the way. There's an issue of Me'ilah for karbanos before they're brought. Once the karban is brought, there's other halachos regulating what to do with it, but it's no longer subject to Me'ilah once the karban has actually been brought. So it's a general principle that he's applying. All right. And with that, my friends, we will leave it on there for Testament Bays. And as you might be glancing ahead, you may be noticing that, God willing, if we stick on track, within 2 weeks' time, we will hopefully be finishing the 4th parak and getting into the final stretch of the 5th and final parak of Maseches Sukkah. So wishing everyone a good night and a wonderful Shabbos, God willing.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos to you and everybody.
All right. Take care, guys.